It's Sunday, October 27th, 2013. Today we are joined by none other than Alex Powell. Hello. Jarrod, the man with no sleeves, White.
Toodle.
And we got Aaron Dye over here.
Also with no sleeves.
Sup?
No sleeve Sunday. We got our boy in a cardigan, Jimmy the Man Austin.
I got sleeves, yo.
He does
James
have-
T. Kirk in the house.
He's got double sleeves, and his friend Hannah's
He's
here.
in the background today.
Hey.
I don't know if that picked up, but it's whatever.
She
She's there
is
in
present.
spirit, at least.
She's present here.
She is
Trenton's
present
doing
in this room.
some charades as usual.
Jimmy needs to talk louder.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
You want to talk louder? That fucking peaked
This one's
right
called
there.
Fuck with the Producer.
But for those of you
Yes.
who don't know, Jimmy needed to talk louder.
Thank you.
Let's just take
Thank
another
you,
extended look behind
clarification,
the scenes
Clancy.
of this podcast.
Anyways, today our movie of choice is
House.
and
I ain't seen that shit.
he ain't seen that shit. Jimmy ain't seen that shit, but he has seen the Master of Spoopy, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I have seen The Nightmare Before Christmas. I've seen it twice. I didn't see it before, like 2 weeks ago. It was the first time I ever saw it in my life.
Ooh,
Yeah.
cool.
You
I didn't know
childhood
that.
Twice already now.
I didn't have a childhood in the sense that I didn't have a childhood that was filled with horror and disturbing images of trick-or-treaters and the boogeyman.
Boogie Oogie.
Boogie Boogie.
But that's the
The
best kind of
oogie
childhood
boogie.
to have.
Oh, whoa,
It's
whoa.
Boogoogie.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
Boogie?
Boogie Oogie.
Bagool?
Bagool.
I'm gonna call him the Boogerman.
There's many ghouls and gasps and
Psych, boogeyman.
about to say. Never mind.
Boogeyman, was he one of the members of Slipknot?
Yes, he was the drummer. That's the
yeah,
drummer.
Boogie the
It
Boogeyman.
was very ghastly. And
Number 7.
It was
He
quite
had,
ghastly.
he had the Crippin' Mask.
And the thing I like about that movie is that we were talking about this the first time we watched it, which is that there's two different voice actors for Jack. One who sings and one who is the speaking voice.
And who's the singer?
Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman,
Danny
that's right.
Elfman.
He's
Oh,
in like
really?
everything.
Who composed the
Who
music and
composed the
lyrics
music.
for that film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that Danny Elfman?
Yes.
Really?
Danny Elfman
Yeah, Danny
does
Elfman.
all the music and lyrics for basically every Tim Burton film, with the exception of Sweeney Todd and Ed
Well, I
Wood,
gotta
right?
say,
What about every Henry Selick
I gotta
film?
say, the
Oh well,
music-
that's a different
Here's a
story.
funny fact, because I was just about to make a joke that Danny Elfman is just the musical persona of Tim Burton, like it's his stage name. And I was just thinking, this week I found out for the first time that CeeLo Green is actually Gnarls Barkley.
Yeah, you
I
did
never
not
knew
know
that.
I don't know what. I didn't know
It
either.
freaked me out.
How did
The
you
guy
guys
who
know
did,
that?
I think you're crazy. That's him.
I really, because his voice is so fucking distinct.
That
Well,
is
this isn't
insane.
not a music podcast, so let's not talk
It's
about
not.
music
You
here.
heard it here first. It's not a music podcast.
You heard it here first. folks.
So we cannot talk about Lou Reed dying today.
Oh my god.
he didn't die.
Please,
Yes, he did. He died.
Please, let's just
Okay.
not talk
He's
about
dead.
that at all.
I
Let's just
know,
pretend
I-
it didn't happen.
I'm inconsolable. It's
Let's
Today,
just
today was
keep
not
it
his
happy.
perfect day, as they say. Okay.
you know you.
That's insensitive. Anyways, Jimmy, thoughts on Nightmare Before Christmas?
I liked it. I thought the music was crap.
Okay.
No, that's a joke.
That's like the majority
That
of the
better
film.
be a joke.
I thought it does a very good job of taking you into that world, and the animation style is just, it's fantastic. It's really, they put a whole lot of work into that movie.
Yeah.
It's a modern day stop motion masterpiece.
Bada boom.
My favorite thing is the way that Jack moves, especially when he gets to Christmas Town and he's singing "What's this? What's this?" and he's just like crawling around like a spider.
I love the
looking at
shot
everything.
where he's on the carousel and he's walking against
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
move
yeah,
of the
yeah.
carousel.
Got those
Something
giant
about it is
fucking
just
legs.
so cool. The movement of his body.
It really
Yeah.
is.
I've never
The way
seen
that
this
he just-
movie.
You've never seen?
I've
this movie?
never seen it.
You
Well,
gotta
but
watch it.
is it?
I was
like,
your brother until a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like, I don't know. There's all this fan craziness behind it. Like everybody is like Jack on Halloween. Every Halloween there's somebody who like has face painted like Jack's face on their face. Is it?
I think Jack has
Like-
become kind of a symbol for emos because
Yeah.
I think a lot of emo girls watched that movie and identified with the girl. What's her name?
Sally.
Sally, yeah.
Sally.
They identify with her because she's just like, sad all the time and like totally pining after this one guy.
And it's totally like, what the fuck are you looking up, Trent?
Right.
Trent's on R what the fuck, and I just saw a picture of a naked man in a bathtub. It just made me do a
What's
double
this?
take.
What's this?
What's this?
A
He's in a
naked man in
fucking
tub. What's this? He looks like such a schlub.
Oh boy.
We like to keep it
You
classy
had to
here
make it
over at
right.
Film Fetish.
This is the musical episode
Right.
of Film Fetish.
Okay. I'm gonna just not pay attention to that. But yeah, and you notice how that character has like stitches, and it's kind of like a
Yeah.
thing about self-cutting. Probably it's probably like a
I
I
don't
think
know
it's-
about
I think
that.
it's
I think
less
it's more
that.
just a Frankenstein monster type
I think
thing.
it's less that and
Like
Oh,
if you want to
probably,
read,
yeah.
if you want to read into it that
Well,
way,
you can say that
be
she
my
is-
guest, but
You can say that she is emotionally falling apart.
No,
Indeed.
exactly. And I think
And
that's what
that's
it
the
is. I
point.
think it's less like cutting. If you're gonna read into it symbolically, it's less that and more feeling like you're being stitched together, like you're just
Yeah.
emotionally broken down.
fragmented. And,
Yeah.
But she always pulls herself back together.
Yeah, she
so
always
she's
she
a
falls
strong
out the window
character.
and she just sews her leg back on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And that is the perseverance of
And then
Sally.
she uses the fact that she can break herself off to trick Boogie Oogie. at the
Oh
climax
yes,
of the film.
with her
Uses her
sexy
strengths.
foot.
Yeah,
Except that doesn't
uses
actually
her
work
weaknesses
out.
as her strength.
Yeah.
It does though.
Hannah, what did
Sort of.
what did
Well,
you
no,
think?
they just get both captured, but
What did you think?
Hannah, this is your
I'm not
episode.
going to talk loud enough.
That's
Alright.
fine.
So, I feel like my problem with it is that it shows that, cultures can't mesh together. It's kind of like an anti-diversity movie, and
It
I
is.
didn't like the gender roles and sexism because I felt
So
like
true.
Sally was constantly seeking after Jack, and she couldn't save herself, and he had to go save her, and he was really just cocky, and I don't really understand why everyone looked up to him. Was he a celebrity? I know he was like the Pumpkin King, but I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean anything to me.
It's a monarchy in
It's
a way.
just, but it's just,
You heard it here for
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not
this could okay.
Well said.
Yeah. This could be just me being optimistic and wanting to not destroy the very sacred part of my childhood, but you could also look at it from the standpoint that it's not so much about cultures not being able to work together, but that they need to actually have proper communication, which there was none. Jack just kind of barged in and tried to take over, and it failed epically, or maybe that people have better strong suits. But in terms of the sexism note, that you have a very good point about that, and it's very sad.
The
Are
mixing
you
of cultures
saying-
thing.
Are you
as well.
saying that Nightmare Before Christmas is a statement on American foreign policy?
Dun dun dun.
I didn't hear that. in
It's
that.
like Elysium before Elysium.
Oh goodness.
Imagine if Matt Damon was the voice of. That
And Ben Affleck was the ghost dog.
that is that relationship.
Oh, Zero.
Ben Affleck is Zero. Yeah, I think the mixing cultures thing is actually pretty interesting.
It's
I never
interesting.
Really
I've
thought about
never
that. It's kind of
really
like
thought of it that way.
pro segregation in a way.
Yeah.
Like keep the shit separate, which is kind of messed up. So confused. Trenton, what the fuck are you looking up? Oh my god.
We've got a distracting computer monitor.
We do.
In
Is this
the studio.
related to the movie?
I like R what the fuck as much as anyone, but my goodness.
There we go.
It's
There are
terrifying.
the levels.
There we go. Let me
That's
just see
better.
the bars. Yeah.
No,
Anyways,
9 minutes. There we go.
Whoa.
anyways, yeah. So Nightmare Before Christmas is a lot to dig into there. A lot of interesting spooky comments coming out.
Pretty spooky.
Any
pretty spooky.
opinions? I know Tim Burton didn't direct that, did he?
No, Henry
No.
Selick did.
No.
Which is
But
like
he
the common
produced it.
misconception.
That's what I thought.
It's
Yeah.
a very common misconception, which is why many people think Coraline is a Tim Burton film, even though there is absolutely no connection to Tim Burton in that movie. And now Trenton is editing senior
Trenton, what the fuck are you?
picture photos.
That's
that
not
were
a
shot-
movie. Don't talk about it. It's
Trenton's
not a
cropping
movie.
a photo of a girl holding onto a tree.
We only talk about movies on the show.
I'm editing photos.
No movies here. What?
I'm editing photos for a client.
Ah, he's
Oh.
doing what you call multitasking, see?
Those kids these days multitasking.
Our producer is a very, very classy gentleman, Trenton Hoshiko, ladies and gentlemen.
We're in his dorm right now. Yeah, golf clap.
Very good.
Fantastic. Good job. Keep it great.
I love A Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's a great film.
So
It's
Nightmare Before
fantastic.
Christmas, pretty spooky. I give it 12 jack-o'-lanterns out of 10.
Wow.
Oh, thank you, Joe Bob.
You haven't done that
That's our
since,
praise.
since Charlie Brown Halloween. You haven't done
Yeah,
that.
no, that was
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Pretty spooky.
The Great Pumpkin,
I
Charlie.
gave
Great
that
Pumpkin,
movie about 13
Charlie.
jack-o'-lanterns out of 15. So
Wow.
Okay.
So it's a close call there for this poopiest movie.
I give
of
it
all time.
68 out of 68 skeleton fingers.
There you go.
Candy
Hooray.
Candy corns.
I give it 3 out of 3 clowns with tearaway faces.
I'm gonna go because I feel like I'm turning the podcast into a farce. So thanks for having me.
No problem.
Oh, everyone
Thank you
say
for coming.
goodbye to Jimmy the Man Austin.
Jimmy.
Goodbye.
Bye, Jimmy the
Bye,
Man
Jimmy.
Austin.
Bye, Jimmy's friend.
And Hannah.
Bye.
And goodbye, Hannah.
Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us
And
on
good
film.
listening.
Fetish.
Remember,
All right.
Jimmy. Good night
okay.
and good
I'll
luck.
see ya.
Don't send the fuck.
Uh-huh. Bye.
That
Good
was-
gravy.
Good
That
gravy.
was him leaving, and he's gone. Okay, so
Anyway.
any hoozle. Cough. What do you guys want to talk about? You've all seen movies this week. I've seen movies this week. Let's talk.
Let's talk about those. That's a good idea.
Alex, this is your debut on the show.
Yes.
What movies have you seen this week?
Recently I got to see the Steve McQueen film, 12 Years a Slave, which I highly recommend. It was a lot to process, and it's less an enjoyable movie-going experience as it is an incredible movie-going experience, and as I was talking about with my friend Pablo and his sweet mate after leaving the film, it feels like a very important film. There are flaws to it, but I think it is definitely worth watching. And like the Trials of Solomon Northup, the film tests the audience throughout to keep you watching.
Interesting.
So-
It's about. So what's it about, right?
Well, it is about Solomon Northup, who was a free man in the 1840s in Saratoga, New York, and he ends up getting conned and sold into slavery.
Shit.
Which is terrible. And of course, he does not have any papers to prove that he is a free man, so for 12 years he remains a slave until he can get help to, I guess, get out of the situation. Spoiler alert, he does escape slavery, as the film would suggest by the 12 years.
Yeah.
What if he
Title.
died? He could have died at the end of the 12
Yeah,
years.
but it's a true story.
It's
like,
a true story.
Yeah, I could
you
just-
can look
Everyone
this up.
knows that's not like. I also saw 12 Years a Slave. I thought it was fantastic. I'm a big fan of Steve McQueen as a director.
Yeah.
I'd say this isn't as perfect a film as Shame, but it hits you even more emotionally.
Okay.
But the thing about 12 Years a Slave, which I really admire about it, is a lot of people are going to like be really moved by this movie and think it's like a real like triumph of the human spirit type movie. For example, to not give away anything, but there's a scene where Paul Dano's character. This is yet another
Oh,
movie
Paul
where Paul
Dano's.
Dano gets thrown on the ground and beat up mercilessly for like 5 minutes while
Poor
he
guy.
screams like a little girl. It's like his shtick,
Yeah, it is.
but he's so good at it.
That's fun.
But anyway, there's a scene where that happens, and the audience I was with, I was really like disappointed in them. They cheered and like applauded,
We had the same problem.
and I really thought that was like totally missing the point of the movie, because I thought that was one of like the most heartbreaking moments. It was a moment of true human failure and true cruelty, and not. It was like a moment of weakness and vulnerability for the character that you're supposed to be rooting for, and
Interesting.
it was a sad and somber moment, and everyone was cheering. Similarly,
Wow.
at the end, the last line that the Solomon character has is heartbreakingly sad.
Really.
And I don't think most people will get the subtext of it and what like the true thrust of the movie is,
Uh-huh.
because it's not like spelled out. But
Sure.
the emotional arc of the character in terms of what physically happens to him and the real story is enough that people are going to really be affected by this movie and going to say that was amazing. But I think like the deeper context of it is what really makes it great. And I guess that's the strength of this movie and why it will be a strong Oscar contender and like a popular movie with crowds, is that it plays to that crowd, but it also plays to somebody who is more like someone who's seen Steve McQueen's other movies, which are more subdued.
Sure.
It'll play to both those crowds really well.
Is Fassbender in this one at all?
Yes, he
Oh,
is.
yeah.
He's a merciless plantation owner.
Yeah.
No, he is fantastic in this movie.
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah,
They're
Benedict
fantastic.
Cumberbatch is also in it. Brad
Oh, really?
Pitt's in it. Paul Dano, Paul Giamatti in a very small role.
Quincy Wallace of Beasts of the Southern Wild for 5 minutes as Solomon Northup's daughter.
Yes.
That's cool. She's only in it for 5 minutes?
Only 5 minutes. She's not
Yeah.
really important to the movie, which made me sad because it's like, Quincy, she's gonna no important roles.
Well, that sucks. I know a very good actor plays the main character. He was in. Can't remember what he was in.
Ejiofor is his last name.
Yeah. Issue 4.
Yeah, I have a hard time pronouncing his name.
Yeah, but he's in a
Chiwetel.
lot of good stuff.
Yeah, he's really good in it. Really good.
I know he is fantastic, but I think one of the things I was talking about with the people I saw it with was the fact that he's not quite as common as I mean, this film has an incredible cast, but he's not a household name like some of the other members of the cast, which is fitting because this character is a man who kind of loses his voice in terms of standing up against the system of oppression that has taken hold of him. So,
Yeah, I think that the movie I was thinking of that he's in is Children
Children
of
of
Men.
Men, yeah.
Yeah,
He's in
which is
that.
such a good movie.
He's in
I
Four
gotta watch
Brothers.
that.
Four Brothers is a great movie.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that, but
I haven't seen that either.
I've heard
not that
things about it.
It's not
Yeah,
good.
I mean,
You're supposed to tell the truth in the show.
Andre
Why?
3000's in that movie too.
Is he really?
Yeah.
well, that's
Just like how
pretty
Common is in movie 43.
awesome. And he's also in Date Night, the
Is
movie
he?
with Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
All I know is I was watching movie 43 the other day for kicks, and all of a sudden Common showed up, and it's like, what is Common doing in this
Wow.
movie?
I don't know. So what other movies have you seen?
Aaron, we watched Y Tu Mamá También, and I know Alfonso Cuarón has been brought up a lot on this show, so we don't want to hammer too much on that. But that was a fantastic movie in so many ways.
I dug it. I dug it a lot.
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Yeah.
It's a
It's
really
pretty
good
good.
movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do remember it just being very
Yeah.
like personal and very what's the word? Unforgiving with what it shows, I suppose would be
It's
unapologetic maybe.
It is a sentimental movie, but it's kind of a simple story just about how people can drift apart and
Right.
like I don't want to say slice of life because that's an overused
Sure.
term talking about movies with minimal plot, but
Right.
it is just kind of like a simple story about these characters and
Yeah.
how their lives turn out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was effective because it gave them time in the movie to at least cut away to, like, they would have those just segments of the narration. Would
Yeah,
go, and
I was
he would
just
just
gonna
talk
say.
about like things that happened in Mexico, like people died on this road, or
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I love those parts where all the sound cuts out and it's just the dialogue. It's almost
This
like
narration.
inner monologue.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with that's kind of the same kind of dissociation that people have between each other in that movie. So, or is that too? Or I don't want to make vast claims about the movie.
No,
at
please
this point,
make
but
vast claims.
Yeah.
We like vast claims.
Vast
on
claims.
this.
The faster the better.
Just like how Nightmare Before Christmas is a movie about American foreign policy.
That's actually a fun way to look at it.
You
though.
guys don't get it. That's exactly what it's about.
Henry Selick is actually just a rabid bigot who doesn't want to
Right.
interact
He's a
with people
xenophobe.
of different cultures.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that movie's fantastic. I think by the time we do another film podcast, we have to all watch Children of Men.
Yeah.
Everyone in this
Yeah.
room has to have witnessed that movie at least once.
Yeah. Well, now you own it, so
That's like
we're
my,
gonna
yeah,
have-
that's
gonna
like
come
one
out
of
at some
the
point.
things like that everybody gives me a hard time about having not seen Children of Men.
It's
Yeah.
And so I love Y Tu Mamá También. I think
You'll-
that's such
I
a
mean, it's
wonderful
not-
movie.
Then
You'll
it's not
love
really
Children of
comparable to Children of Men.
Oh, I know, like they're
Yeah.
totally different kinds of
Well,
movies, but
Right.
I do like Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah, well, that's the
Yeah.
thing about Alfonso Cuarón. The subjects that he chooses to tackle are so vastly different, but you do see this kind of objectivity in his style run consistent throughout, where things are just kind of like from this outside third lens, just kind of drifting between things.
Yeah, there's some. It can be at times like there's no like protagonist. It's just kind of like a view of the what's going on. So
Of the social situations in the movie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess in that way, Tu Mamá También and Children of Men are really similar like that.
Yeah.
or there's just like so many different people in it, you don't really know who's the main character.
Yeah.
It's more the story of the environment. That's my points.
Yeah. So anything else? Any other movies?
That's about it that I can remember from this week. So
Well, that's cool.
yeah.
All right.
So anything else you guys watched?
Aaron.
Sure.
Any others?
I guess I watched a movie called 4 Months, 3 Weeks, and 2 Days recently. It's a Romanian movie. It came out a couple years ago.
I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it.
It was interesting. It's like set during like the communist era in Romania, like when abortions are illegal and you could like go to jail for years for getting an abortion. And this is just about a lady getting an abortion. That's the whole movie. And it's really like depressing and not I don't know.
Doesn't sound fun.
It's not the funnest movie ever.
No.
Especially because it's not really satisfying in any way. The acting in like the early scenes is really good, and I would actually recommend people to watch this movie just based on how amazing these scenes are acted.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like they like hire this really shady doctor who like is just like you would not want a doctor doing this to you if he was acting like this.
Yeah.
And just like all the repercussions that come, but like with the family. But it was a weird kind of dark movie at the end that just ended without any. It didn't feel like it didn't end up saying what it wanted to say. I felt like.
I think the thing that you found. Well, I came in halfway through this movie, and I think the thing that we talked about was that there wasn't really a rising action at the end. It just kind of they followed out the plan, and then that was it.
Yeah, they kind of set out a plan in the beginning of the movie, and then that plan just happened, and then once it was over, the movie was over.
So there was no no conflict. There was no like traditional story structure. You're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's okay. It just was unsatisfying in this case.
Like it posed questions, but it didn't seek to actually like complete its commentary on the situation about abortions in Romania, which is sad. But
normally, I like. I don't know.
And the point of the movie is that it is illegal, so that's why she has to go to a shady doctor, or...
Yeah, the point of the movie, I guess, is sort of just... You could say it's sort of feminist, and, like, you know... It's obviously not arguing against abortion. It's like...
Sure.
If you could just make it legal, then we wouldn't have any of these problems. It's basically the whole point of the movie, and it just tells it in kind of a boring way by the end.
It's not really like a make you think kind of movie. It's just kind of like a obvious, this is like how we feel type
especially
thing.
If you're already, like, for, like, not pro-life, that's against abortion.
Pro-choice.
Pro-choice. If you're already pro-choice, and this movie
just kind of like bias affirmation in a way. It's not really challenging anything.
You would only watch this movie for, like, the really good acting.
Yeah.
It might be a movie that plays better to its native crowd.
That's true.
Considering I don't know what the climate in Romania is concerning that topic, but maybe it's more intended for that audience.
Yeah.
Like a movie could actually be made about it, whereas here I don't think a movie can be made about someone just getting an abortion.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because
Probably
it had like a crossover appeal somewhat here, because I mean I heard about it in the movie a few
right.
times.
Yeah. That's cool. Any other movies?
Nothing really besides what we watched today, or what me and Jarrod and Alex watched today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about that?
This morning we watched Walkabout.
Okay.
Which
Directed
is
by who?
Nicolas Roeg.
Okay.
Who is one of my favorite filmmakers.
Really?
Yeah, he's a really great director. I'd almost compare him, not like really closely, but in a way he's similar to Terrence Malick.
Okay.
His style, his films are very lyrical, very visually oriented.
Mm-hmm.
It's very loose plots, and
it seems like at least because I didn't watch it, but I was passing by. It seemed like it had a lot to do with nature as well.
It almost
it's a Terrence Malick type thing.
It came out. Walkabout came out in 1971. It has some Badlands type.
Okay.
It's not like a really strong vine, but like if you needed like a comparison of like a similar style, I would say that's the closest thing I can think of off the top of my head. But I really like Nicolas Roeg's films. Some of his more interesting ones, The Man Who Fell to Earth, which is a science fiction film starring David Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know it. Okay.
That's a really good one. Bad Timing, which stars Art Garfunkel.
Oh, really?
He had a thing. He cast a lot of musicians. Also, one of his earliest ones is called Performance, and Mick Jagger's in that one.
Weird.
That's not one of my favorites, though. That movie, honestly, I was watching it, and I could see the movie going over my head. It was beyond me. I could not figure it out.
Really?
Like, I appreciated it in a way, but I feel like
It's just one of those films where it's just like, this is beyond my level of
I just
analysis.
performance. Yeah,
Huh.
it's a really interesting movie, but I just like it was like whoop, there it goes.
Yeah.
But Insignificance is a really good one that not many people talk about, and Don't Look Now. But he's just a really good filmmaker, and having seen Walkabout, that was one of the last big ones I needed to see. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know what you thought of it, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
I thought it was really good. Usually, I don't like survival movies. It wasn't really. I mean, I
It wasn't-
wouldn't call
yeah.
it that, but that was like
On its basis level,
yeah.
the plot, that's what it was.
Because usually, like, I don't know, you're watching a survival movie, the conflict is that, are they going to die or not? But then you kind of know they're not going to die because then the movie would be over. But in this movie, I don't know, there was enough they wanted to say.
Yeah.
You know, like, starting off in the city and all this, like, technology and advancement versus, you know, I mean, the whole meaning of the movie, basically.
I guess you could say most survival-based movies are the main conflict is man versus nature, and I don't think this movie was man versus nature. I don't think that was the central conflict.
No, I don't
It
think
was
so at
like
all.
man in nature,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. They weren't pitted against each other as opposing
Yeah, that's why
forces.
I thought it was really interesting.
There's a shot near the beginning of the movie that is one of the most brilliant pieces of cinematography and just shot composition I've ever seen. The father is standing on the balcony looking down at his children, and the son and the daughter are in this swimming pool.
Yeah.
And
I heard you mention something about it.
right beyond the swimming pool, there's like a bit of lawn, and then it drops off, and then there's the sea.
Yeah.
And it was just so brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
like so simple, nothing is said, but you see these kids in the swimming pool so close to the sea, but yet so disconnected from it. And that's, I think, a microcosm of
Mm-hmm.
Australia as a whole. The film takes place in Australia. Australia is such a I don't want to say wasteland, but such
It's so wide.
such a wilderness.
Yeah.
And to have like these few highly populated metropolis type areas
Yeah.
in this
Just in the middle of nowhere.
the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And I mean, it does a good job of kind of making it not the middle of nowhere, where the animals are just a huge theme.
The animals are a huge
they really
theme.
populate. I mean, just the outback.
They're characters as much as the
Yeah,
humans are the animals in the film.
I really enjoyed it because I did not see where it was going. It was-
No, you didn't
yeah.
see where it was going, and
I mean, it's hard. It was really hard to pick up on what the characters were feeling about their situation, and then at the end, you kind of learn, like, in hindsight, what she had been feeling the whole time.
Had you seen it before?
No, I hadn't.
Really?
This was the first time I'd seen it. I've been meaning to see it for years, and finally popped it on, and
Nice.
absolutely,
feeling.
I loved it. Thought it
Such
was
is the
great.
benefit of having the entire Criterion collection available to stream on Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Hulu Plus. I wish it was the entire Criterion collection.
Yeah.
Because the other day we wanted to watch Luis Buñuel's The Phantom of Liberty, but it isn't on there.
Oh, well.
But
there's a lot of Benoit.
There's
on
a
there.
lot of good movies on there. Just scrolling through alphabetically, and
An almost unnecessary amount of good movies.
I'm seriously contemplating going through alphabetically. Just
Yeah.
watching them all. Like,
That's crazy. All right. So
but other than
Yeah.
that, I've been watching horror movies because
very cool.
Halloween, an excuse to watch horror movies. Not that I need an excuse, but
Now, something pretty shitty.
it's a good time.
Sounds like it happened last night.
do we have to talk about what happened last night?
If you don't want to, that's
It's very
fine,
difficult
But
to
it's
tell
too
hard, you know.
It's,
too hard.
It's a kind of. An
I'll
interesting
mention very
anecdote.
briefly what happened last night. I was prepared to go to a midnight horror movie marathon, and I was too cheap to buy tickets in advance because you'd have to pay a service charge. So I just said, "Oh, I'll just get there early and buy a ticket." I've been to the theater a few times before, and it's a really big theater. I honestly, the last thing I saw there was Eraserhead, and the theater was probably like half full. So I figured it's not going to sell out. Not that many people are going to want to go see this marathon at
7
midnight.
movies, yeah.
You know, but got there an hour early and no tickets.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But
But your favorite movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
My favorite horror movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I missed it.
Oh, well,
But-
that's a bummer. But
Yeah.
you have been watching other horror movies.
I have been watching other horror movies, and I'm just gonna pick out some highlights. I was trying to watch some ones I've been meaning to watch for a long time that I just haven't gotten around to. So I saw Dust Devil for the first time,
I've never even heard
which is
that
a film by a guy named Richard Stanley. And Dust Devil was a film he made on Miramax's dime in the early 90s. The film originally came out in 1992, I believe, in an 89-minute cut, chopped down from his original slightly over 2-hour cut. They hacked it to bits and pieces to make it play to a general audience.
Yeah.
But basically, Dust Devil, he shot it in Africa, and it's like a supernatural horror movie. I don't want to get too much into the plot, but basically, there's a hitchhiker who isn't human. That's the main premise for it. But it's an absolutely fascinating movie.
Really?
I saw the reconstructed cut, which has only been around a few years now. Richard Stanley got together enough money to put together this cut and distribute it. And I believe it's 108 minutes, so it's pretty close to the original cut. But this is like his preferred cut now. This is the definitive cut of Dust Devil.
Cool.
And visually really great images, and interesting story structure. At the beginning you don't really know what's going on, and gradually you start to piece it together. I don't know what they cut, but I'm assuming that the first 10 or 15 minutes was like totally put like into a sequential order, because it's kind of like montage at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they just chopped it back up to like straight narrative.
Probably.
But really interesting movie. It's kind of like a western slasher horror supernatural movie set in Africa.
Interesting.
It's really cool, honestly. Really cool. But
Made in the 90s.
made in the early 90s,
Interesting.
and it looks great. The cinematography is really good.
How'd you watch this? Was it on?
I rented the DVD,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't get around to it, but the DVD it's a 5-disc set that's
Holy
out.
shit.
It's got 2 discs that are Dust Devil, the final cut, and one is the work print version.
Okay.
Then it's got a soundtrack disc, and it's got 2 discs of Richard Stanley's, some of his documentaries,
Oh.
which I didn't get around to watching. I'm thinking about picking up the set at some point, so then I'll see them. But another one that I saw that was really good horror movie was Antonio Margheriti's.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is that the reference?
That's the reason why in Glorious Bastards,
Margheriti.
Margheriti. He's named after Antonio Margheriti.
Really?
Who, Antonio Margheriti is an Italian horror filmmaker, mostly horror, but
Wow.
most well known probably for ghost directing the Flesh for Frankenstein and Blood for Dracula, Paul Morrissey, Andy Warhol movies.
Okay.
Like, there's discrepancy over whether Paul Morrissey or Antonio Margheriti is the true director of them.
Uh-huh.
But this is a movie called Cannibal Apocalypse. It goes under a lot of other titles. Don't
a good
you
title.
laugh at me. Cannibal Apocalypse. It goes under a lot of other titles too, but because it's an Italian
Right.
exploitation movie, they all have like 6 or 7 titles.
Of course, yeah.
But it came out in 1980, I think, which is the same year as Cannibal Holocaust.
Cannibal Holocaust came out in 1980?
Yes.
You're kidding me. I thought that was like early 70s.
No, Cannibal Holocaust is 1980.
Wow, that's funny.
But
They came out in the same year.
Like,
yeah, and only a few. I forget when Cannibal Ferox came out, but that was around the same time.
what the fuck is up with cannibal movies in
Well,
1980?
they're all from Italy. That's what they call the cannibal boom. Like
The cannibal boom?
Cannibal boom.
Wait, is this a real thing?
Yes,
Not
there was
fucking
just
around.
like a bunch of cannibal movies. Like, I forget which one was exactly the first one, but I know Ruggero Deodato's Man from Deep River, I believe it's called, was one of the first ones. I haven't seen that one, unfortunately. I have a hard time finding
Watch
it.
these now.
But I really like them. They're really trashy though.
Yeah.
they're really.
Trent just Googled Cannibal Boom and he found a Wikipedia page of just.
Oh no, I apologize. It's Umberto Lenzi's man from Deep River.
Oh, okay.
Who he did Cannibal Ferox.
I was about to correct you on that, but then
Yeah. Ruggero Deodato did Jungle Holocaust.
what the fuck?
He did Jungle Holocaust, then later he did Cannibal Holocaust.
What's Jungle Holocaust like a more?
I haven't seen Jungle Holocaust.
Low
Some of these
budget
I have a
version.
hard time finding
Yeah, I can
because
imagine.
they're not
I didn't
really
even
mainstream
fucking know about
movies.
them.
They're all really graphic, and
Yeah, I still need to see Cannibal Holocaust. Is it a good film?
I love Cannibal Holocaust. But of the ones I've seen, I was gonna say this Cannibal Apocalypse, which I recently seen, might be my favorite.
Really?
This movie, it's not for everyone, but if you like trashy Italian horror movies, this movie is a masterpiece.
Really?
It stars John Saxon, who most people best remember as the father in A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I do not remember that. I actually have never seen Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's one of his most well-known. He's been in a bunch of movies, but that's one of his most well-known roles. But he's the star of it. It starts off in the Vietnam War, and he's like a captain of his platoon or whatever, and he rescues some of his men who were in POW camp, and they're like cannibalizing a man when he finds them.
Wow.
He brings them back, and they find out that they got infected with some kind of disease that makes people
They got the hunger.
hunger for flesh.
They have to hunger.
And then throughout the film, one of the guys goes on like a rampage across the city, kind of
Wow.
like a, that POW shell shock type thing they do in a
Yeah.
lot of, especially a lot of 70s movies when someone comes back from war and then they hold themselves up in a mall or a supermarket or something, and
It's pretty crazy. So
But,
he's eating people, or
there's some cannibalism going on, and it's John Saxon's character realizing that he might be infected,
huh?
but it's hard to describe why this movie is so great, but it looks incredible. It's just really interesting take on
It
it
sounds
because
so grimy.
it's really grimy. Most of these Cannibal Boom movies are civilized people going to uncivilized territories
Okay.
and fucking with the natives
Who are cannibals?
who are cannibals, and then the civilized people get eaten.
Is this movie does it have any like animal cruelty and shit in it, like Cannibal Holocaust?
This
did?
one,
Or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This
I was
one,
just
because what I was going to say is this one's so interesting because it almost like reverses that.
curious.
It's set in like a civilized area, and the cannibals come to
Oh,
the city,
to
as
it,
opposed to
okay.
the city coming to the
Oh, they
cannibals.
flipped it around. I
Like
see.
Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox, those are like people going into the jungle. This is people coming from the jungle.
Did those movies also have the problem where like they were suspected to be snuff films or whatever?
That's Cannibal Holocaust.
That's only Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, I believe that Cannibal Holocaust.
That's the
there was
one that
a-
actually featured live animals being killed.
Well, Cannibal Ferox has live animal killings too. A
Oh,
lot of
okay.
these cannibal movies have snakes getting cut up, and
Of course.
Yeah.
but Cannibal Holocaust is the big one. That one's really tough to sit through at some points. It's a fabulous movie, but what they do to a turtle in that movie is really hard to watch.
Yeah. It's no good.
But that movie had Ruggero Deodato had to go to court for that movie and show how they did the special effects because they thought
Really?
he really killed the actors. He had to bring the actors into court and say, "Here they are, they're still alive." This is a woman who gets impaled by a pole.
Yeah.
She's like impaled through a pole, and it looks like
Yeah, I've seen that.
they're
I've
like,
seen
"How did they
show.
do that?" And
Yeah.
I know how they did it, but it's like I still can't even like figure it out
This
really.
makes me really
Yeah.
want to watch this movie.
I love Cannibal Holocaust, but this Cannibal Apocalypse, really, really good.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Any other horror movies to speak of?
Those are the two most interesting ones I think that I saw.
Cool.
So
Cool.
I mean, Aaron caught a little bit of Pieces
I did.
this
I
morning.
watched the
Yeah.
second half of that with you.
Pieces is a Spanish horror movie.
Is it good?
Oh, it's
Pieces.
Spanish?
It's Spanish/American. If you, at the end, there's a really funny credit, like the last credit before the, copyright date, is it says filmed in location in Boston, Mass, and Madrid, Spain.
What the hell?
Yep.
Yeah, but it takes place in Boston, I believe,
Really?
or New England. They always say
Yeah.
New England in the
Yeah.
film,
New
but I guess it
England.
was filmed in Boston.
It's
A lot
Yeah.
of it.
limited to my
What's it
idea.
about?
Well,
There's a killer on a college campus, but the opening scene, I don't want to give it away, but the opening scene is knuck and futz.
Really?
Yeah,
The
I
opening
walked
scene
in on you, and
is
then I
knuck
came
and
back
futz.
for the second half, and I was like,
And
what?
the last scene is knuck and futz.
What year was this made?
Pieces 83?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's kind
I'm gonna
of
check
like,
that out.
it's like a slasher movie.
Uh-huh.
It's really trashy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's a really fun movie.
I'll have to check.
It's
that
really
out.
gory, really fun.
the end of that movie.
the end of
was
that
so
movie is-
unexpected.
You don't expect it, and it really has nothing to do with anything else in the movie, but it's very shocking.
So you watched it too, Alex?
I watched part of it. I came in after getting a really bad haircut, so that was fun.
There's actually 3 parts in that movie I'd say are knuck and futz. The beginning, the end, and then there's a part with my kung fu professor.
Yeah,
All right.
There's a
that's-
character.
I remember that.
I'm just gonna give this away because I feel like describing it.
It
There's,
doesn't matter.
There's
yeah.
a woman with the flashlight, one of the main characters, and she's walking through like an alleyway on the
Like a
campus.
dark, spooky,
a dark,
yeah.
spooky alleyway at night, and she hears like a sound, and she's holding the flashlight. And then all of a sudden, this foot comes in and kicks the flashlight out,
Are you kidding?
and there's a guy doing karate. And he's like starts like coming at her, and you're like, who is this? Where did this character come from? This isn't the killer. The killer doesn't do karate. The killer kills people with a chainsaw.
Is he an accomplice? What is
And
it?
like, what's going on? And then he's like attacking her, but not really. And then one of the other main characters comes up. He says, "Oh, it's my kung fu professor."
What?
To which I say, "What? There's a kung fu professor. There's a kung
Professor
fu
of
class
kung,
on
of
like."
kung fu.
And then
Yeah.
like he
But
says
it's like-
something in a really like stereotypical.
Yeah, he
Asian,
says like, "Yeah, go get chop suey, yeah," and then he runs away. You never see him again.
they're just like,
never
"Oh, it's
mentioned
up."
again for the rest
Yeah,
of the movie.
and
It
it's
has
just like,
nothing to do. With,
Oh, it's perfectly fine that this random guy came in and started attacking this woman for no reason at all.
So there's
and they all act like it's perfectly okay.
So there's fun moments through that, like that throughout it. There's also another one where you think a character's gonna get it, and then they don't, and they're like, ha 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 ha, and then it's just like that's the end of the scene,
What the fuck?
and it's
Yeah.
like, it actually like, I expected them to get killed, and it was actually like, oh, they didn't get killed.
That's
That
so
was
strange.
interesting.
This movie's called what again?
Pieces.
Pieces.
And I
Wow.
believe there's a few really good taglines for this movie. One is, I'm paraphrasing, don't kill me if I get the tagline wrong, but you don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre.
Wow.
And another one of the ones is, I want to say, Pieces, it's exactly what it says it is. Or it's exactly what it sounds like.
It's exactly what you think it is, according to
Pieces,
IMDb.
it's exactly what you think it is.
Thank you, Trenton.
Wow.
The guy, he's cutting up women
Into
to
pieces.
to make a jigsaw woman
Yep.
What the fuck?
with pieces.
He's
Pieces.
sewing pieces of bodies together to make his own.
He also has a like a puzzle of a naked woman that he
He's obsessed
he
with this
gradually
puzzle.
builds throughout the movie. So
It
you
sounds
see him
very Hannibal.
you see him
yeah,
kill a
inspired.
woman, and then the next shot is like this jigsaw puzzle, and he's like putting it together.
What the fuck?
So,
So strange.
Sally of Nightmare Before Christmas, Jigsaw Woman, Full Circle.
Oh, there
Everything
we go.
is connected.
Pieces.
Cloud Atlas.
Pieces
Yes.
and A Nightmare Before Christmas, a great double bill.
Yes.
That would be.
I really
actually-
liked the half of the movie that I saw. It was
Yeah.
like
It's
a
a
lot of
really
fun.
fun movie.
It was like when I first walked in and it was like doing the conventional like slasher movie stuff, like dark hallways, and the score is like really.
I love
funny.
this. I love
It's
those.
really like
Yeah.
slasher.
Those kind of
funny.
scores I
Yeah.
love. I just
Yeah.
Or no,
boom,
the,
boom,
But
boom,
then
boom,
it surprised me.
There was
I
a-
liked it.
there was a
and then
real-
all of a sudden funk music.
yeah. But there's a
Oh,
really
yeah.
great. Well, there's just a really great random cue when the lead female character in the film like turns around and then runs into another guy in the film. It's just like this sudden scare chord, but there's no reason for
Oh
it.
yeah, and then it's like, hi,
It's
how's
just
it
there.
going?
Ah! So
It's like dun dun dun. Hi, how's it going? It's
Cool. So that's your movies you've seen this week?
yeah, sure.
All right.
What did you see?
I haven't
Connor?
seen really that many movies this week. I saw. I don't even know if it was. Did I talk about this on the last podcast? I saw Teeth.
Oh, you saw Teeth?
Yeah. Have you guys seen this?
Yes, I have
This
seen
film?
Teeth.
I wasn't a fan. I couldn't get through it.
It's so fucking awesome.
Teeth is a really cool movie.
It is. It's just a really neat movie.
The only reason I couldn't get through it was because the main actress is really strange looking to me.
She is strange looking. Her face when she gets like mad is like really like ghoulish.
It works though.
It does.
Because
No,
she's
yeah.
a strange character, to say the least.
There's some really weird like issues when it comes to like chastity, and then there's like this
Yeah.
really weird sexual like erotic horror with the like basically the premise of the film Teeth is that a girl is born with in her vagina a set of razor sharp teeth.
Don't you feel smart talking about this?
And no, I don't.
Vagina dentata, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they call it.
There's a scene, I won't give it away, but there's a scene where someone is just shouting, Vagina dentata! Vagina dentata! It's real! Vagina dentata! Which is like the scientific, like, fucking Chuck Jones name for this
Wait,
horrible...
is that a real scientific term or is it made up for this?
I think it's made up for this movie, but it
It
sounds so
sounds made up.
perfect.
I feel like it might have been
Trent
something
is-
that was
yeah, I hate
around,
that
but then they made a movie based on it, but it's not a real
Yeah, I know.
I pray to God
You
that's
hate
not
that
a real
movie?
thing.
I hate that movie.
Oh, you're not.
It's so
I did
funny.
not like
You're
it.
not a horror fan.
It's
I'm
so...
a horror fan. I just did not like it.
No, you're
I
not.
I thought this movie was gonna be some sort of PG-13 like Goosebumps ride. No, they fucking show bloody, mutilated penises.
I was gonna say that scene in the cave is really intense.
Yeah, it just full. It's like full. I was about to say fucking full circle. It's just like it's the full show. Like it shows you everything, which I thought was awesome. That they made a movie that was, I mean, shot relatively like It looks like it was shot and like kind of structured for a movie that would be for like a PG-13 teen audience. And then they
Yeah.
had the most like fucking
Well,
metal.
there's really like fucked up content in that movie. Like the
Yeah.
stuff with her brother,
Oh yeah.
if I remember correctly, is really peculiar.
It's really strange.
That was the one.
It's under the guise that it's gonna be like this PG-13 off-screen like pardon me,
Like
off-screen violence.
what
type
was that
thing.
movie with Megan Fox that came out a few years later?
Jennifer's
yeah, like
Body.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, like
It's
some kind of
almost-
like people go, you know, with their gal
she
friends.
eats people.
No, you don't go see this movie with just like your gal pal or some shit like that. Like this is a horrifying.
You have
film.
lots of gal pals, Connor.
No, not really, but I wouldn't take them to go see this movie.
Would you take them to go see Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac though?
Yes,
That's
of
gonna
course.
be a good date movie.
Oh my God.
That's gonna be the date movie.
That is not
Yeah.
a date
Century.
movie.
I can
I-
definitely see that, especially
Lars
the way
von
it talks
Trier
about sex.
and anything does not go well together.
Yep.
He stands alone. Anyways,
The kind of movies you have to sit alone in your bedroom and watch on your laptop on Netflix because you can't talk about them with other people.
indeed. This is not on Netflix, but it's a great movie. It's from
Yeah.
2007.
After I watched Antichrist, I described it to my girlfriend, and she was just like, "What kind of movies do you watch?"
Great movies.
The worst part of that, trying to describe the worst part of that movie is you feel so bad because it has such a raw gut reaction. They're like, oh my God, really? Oh my God.
It also like makes it seem like a movie that it isn't. 'Cause
yeah,
it's not really that kind of
because
movie.
that's not the focus of the film at all.
No.
But
I might have to revisit Teeth then.
you should.
Teeth
No, I
is
was
fun.
talking about Antic.
Yeah.
okay.
But Teeth isn't it's not a great movie. Like there's a lot of like weird choices,
Right.
but I think it's a fun movie and it's like got a little bite to it.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of
Oh,
here.
fine.
That was a pun, ladies and
That's it.
gentlemen.
The
Oh.
ending of Teeth is also really weird. Like
It
the
is.
last scene is like I don't know what they were going for.
The last
with that.
scene is the girl. I'll spoil it. Not really, but I'll spoil it. She's in a car. What does she get? She gets someone. She hitchhikes.
She hitchhikes with this creepy
ass old
guy,
man.
and, like,
And then he looks at her with like his numb lips and
and
starts
he like
licking his lips. And like starts giving her the look, and then she's just like ew, and she looks away out the window, and then the camera does like a reverse shot, and then she starts to smile, and then it does another reverse shot back to the old man, and then she's smiling at the old man, and the implication is that she's gonna fuck this old man, and then cut his dick off, and then that's how she's
with
gonna
her
deal with
vagina
this.
teeth.
Yeah, with her vagina dentata.
Vagina
which is
dentata.
such a ridiculous. That film is fantastic.
It's a ridiculous movie.
Another ridiculous film. This is the other film I watched, and these are the only two I'm going to talk
Drum
about.
roll.
I saw Dead Alive for the first time,
Oh, you did.
which is so fucking good.
Your
I,
mother ate my dog. Not
I-
all of it.
Yeah, it's insane. Like that whole movie had me clapping. It had me throwing my hands up.
That's a full-bodied movie experience. You laugh, you cry, you're
was.
scared, you laugh, you cry, you're scared, you
It's
laugh,
the-
you cry, you vomit a few times, you're
Right.
scared.
It's the only film that I've ever been. I think when I was watching it, I was going, you know,
Wait,
blah.
describe the plot. I don't know. It's dead
It's basically this guy is actually
It's
barely
almost got
remember
a
the plot.
it's almost got a psycho type premise with the guy and his mother,
Sort of, yeah.
because he's like a dweebish like kind of guy, and he lives with his mother.
He
and
lives
his
with
mother
his
is like
mother.
an overbearing.
like
parent.
mean kind of parent.
Yeah.
And so he basically has to do a lot of chores for her, yard work.
Yeah. He's kind of like a spineless kind of
Yeah.
yes man.
Indeed, and it's like from New Zealand. It's directed by Peter Jackson. It's, I think 1992.
1992, yeah.
And that movie, when I was watching it, you know, you do the typical like, oh, that's gross, oh man, oh god. But then I like had a feeling inside of me. It was like this gut feeling about the film, this gut feeling of repulsion. I just thought, I think I'm offended by this film. I think this is the first time I've ever truly been offended by something that was so violent. And it wasn't in like a condemning way or an angry way. It was just like, this is the first time I've ever been like, I don't know if I can handle this. Like,
it's just so over the top.
It's so
and
over
even
the
like
top.
the dialogue scenes in between the zombie bloodshed type scenes
so
are like
funny.
really like grotesque, and
yeah.
like the scene where the uncle, he's like, found a bit of your dad's old Stag films, have you? Is that the one with the donkey and the chambermaid? And you're like, what is going on in this movie?
Yeah. Oh my god, I do remember that. Yeah, it was insane. The part where I was just like flabbergasted was when that fucking baby gets in there. And they're beating the shit out of
The
this
scene
like
in the
Chucky
park.
baby.
The scene in the park is one of the funniest things ever, when he's got the baby in the
Oh,
stroller.
right. Yeah.
And then there's the scene, the part where he's hitting the baby on like a metal pole.
He's got it in like a bag or something.
Yeah, and
right?
he's smacking it on a metal pole, and then all of a sudden there's just this shot of this homeless man, and he goes, yeah, like this guy you've never seen before. You're like, why is he cheering on this man
beating the
horribly
shit out of
beating
a
up
baby.
this baby?
It's so messed up. And there's like, that movie strips like all the bullshit away. Like even when the zombies are nothing but organs, they're still doing shit.
Yeah.
And they're like strangling people with their lower intestine and all this crazy
The guy in the
shit.
toilet.
And a thing for
Yeah.
brains, right?
Yeah. And the fucking another great scene is when the priest
Yes.
this is what happens, and this is in a 10-second interval. It's like a Mortal Kombat finisher.
Yes.
He roundhouse kicks a zombie's legs off the zombie.
The torso falls.
The torso falls, and then he continues with another roundhouse kick and kicks the head off of a zombie, which goes flying in the air, and then the torso is left. I'm sure the torso keeps fucking moving. I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
I think it
I
just
just remember
floats
seeing that and being like,
everywhere.
oh my god, it was insane.
It's so swift too, like the motion of it. It like
Right, there's just
it
so
looks
many
so good. The
satisfying-
special
yeah.
effects are,
It's so satisfying.
and like that shot of the guy getting his face ripped off. You can see the wires, but it just looks so cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think the priest gets his his mouth gets
Yes.
pulled, and then just like the front of his face
Is
ripped
missing.
off.
Ew. Oh.
And when
it's brutal.
you could just go on and on about the gore effects in this movie. The nurse getting the thing stuck in her head, and her head goes back.
Yeah. Oh, this fucking it's like nearly headless Nick.
Yeah, she
this
gets-
fucking woman's head keeps
She
falling
gets her
off.
like head almost cut off, like her.
It's just dangling by the
and
back
then
part.
someone throws something that sticks in her forehead, and her head like goes back and it's hanging.
Wait, is
Like
this
a
the
fucking
movie
cookie
poster
jar.
you have out there?
Yes, I have a
Okay,
creepy
okay.
Japanese Dead Alive /
Alright.
Braindead poster out there.
It's pretty fucking hardcore, that movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the other movie I watched. It was fantastic. Great Halloween
I
movie.
love that movie. I've seen
Yeah.
that movie so many times. It never gets old. It never loses
can't
its
imagine
it never
it getting
loses
old.
its impact. Like I still cringe when that guy's fucking eating the custard.
Yeah.
Custard. I haven't had a good custard in years.
Yeah, that was the part where I almost vomited. Was when
And when
that
she
ear
when
fell
she
in the
tries to
custard.
put the makeup on,
I
every
don't remember
time
that.
she tries to put the makeup on and like part of her like face rips off,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like,
oh.
ugh.
It
Every
looks so
time
real, and
it's
it's,
like,
so, it's,
oh,
such a,
it's gross.
it's just such a simple thing. Yeah, it was just like a little triangle of skin.
Yeah, they just
peels
put like
off.
a flap of fake skin, and it
Oh,
looks
it's
so,
God,
gross.
awful. Yeah. So
And lawnmower.
and the lawnmower scene, which
Yeah.
is incredible. There's almost a straight up just like Charlie Chaplin scene where
Yes.
there's blood all over the floor
Tripping
and he's
on the
trying to
blood,
run
yeah.
away and he can't move because it's just like
No, that movie
slapstick.
is a slapstick movie.
yeah
Just with guts.
yeah ghouls, but
Bagoo. Part of me
So-
wants to see it now, and part of me doesn't. I don't know.
you should just see it. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's so good. Yeah. So should we talk about House now?
I think we should talk
Oh,
about
I mean,
House.
It's on House.
Like the title suggests, it takes place in a house.
Yes.
The very hungry house.
Yes,
Very
the
hungry
hungry
house.
house.
This is directed by Jarrod.
Nobuhiko Obayashi.
There you go. That director.
Who has a lot of
Um,
experience in like commercials and a lot of special effects.
Yeah.
I believe.
But he also has directed a bunch of movies. Only one of which has a Region 1 DVD release as far as I know.
Which is House.
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 But I've tried to find some of his films before, no luck. I think I'm going to try again. But I guess the idea from House, if I remember correctly from watching the special features, there's an interview with Obayashi on the Criterion DVD.
Yeah.
From what I remember, the idea came from his daughter.
Huh.
Like, it was like him collaborating with his daughter on the idea for the movie. Like, I know she was the one, from what I remember, she was the one who came up with the idea for the suffocation by pillows. And
Really?
I read
Yeah.
too that
So
she was
funny.
scared of her fingers being caught in a piano.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. He wanted to make like a childhood horror movie, like about like childhood fears and
I can't even describe it. I really am struggling to even.
it's like an endless parade of visually inventive tricks
Yeah.
that are compiled together to make a parody or a pastiche of a horror movie
Of a horror movie.
that still
movie-
manages to be a horror movie
It
despite
still
how
manages to be
goofy and
kind of
cheery it
scary
is.
in a way. Yeah.
That whole scene in the beginning
So-
where it's stop motion of the guy like
Oh,
spinning
with
around
the
on
bucket?
a bucket. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
Yeah,
Like
there's,
I just like that comes out of
Looney Tunes.
nowhere. And
Yeah.
it was awesome.
Everything in that movie
it
comes
was
out of
so
nowhere.
cool. 'Cause
I almost need to watch it again. It was so
Yeah.
fantastic.
Speaking of needing to watch it again, the first time I ever saw House was around the time it came out on the Criterion DVD, which I want to say was like 2 years ago, probably. And
Hold on a second.
we have an
surprise guest.
interruption.
We're in the middle of a podcast. What's up?
How's it going?
Come on in. Come on in.
Come on in.
We have a surprise
A
guest.
surprise guest on the show.
Ladies and
Jamie,
gentlemen.
the jacket, Russell.
Hi there.
We're talking about
We're talking about a movie you haven't seen.
Oh,
Have you seen House?
I have not.
What'd you think of it?
Well, just the name really just entices me. I've honestly always wanted to see a movie about houses.
It's about houses.
Is it really?
No.
You get that and a lot more.
Is
The one with Hugh Laurie in it? I love that movie.
That is.
that's what I thought you guys meant when you first said, "Oh, we're watching House." I was like, I don't want to watch House.
there's also,
Isn't that a TV show?
there's also an American horror movie from the 80s called House, which I've never seen.
I heard about that.
But it's got the poster with the disembodied hand ringing the doorbell.
Ooh,
It looks like fun. I'll probably see it at some point.
Yeah.
But
See all the House movies.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
can.
I think there's also a House 2, which is a sequel to that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a sequel to
No,
House.
there's
Yeah,
no
no.
House too.
You know, this one is its own
House.
standalone hot slice of crazy, and it's a very fun hot slice of crazy.
Standalone in a very big way because
Yeah.
there's not really many
It
comparisons
was
that you
really
can draw.
unique.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I
Really,
think
really
the
unique.
favorite,
I mean-
my favorite thing that you said during the movie is like I've seen a lot of films from the 70s and I've seen a lot of Japanese films from the 70s, but none of them are like this. None of
Yeah.
them are quite as weird.
Well, it has a lot
and
of
operate in the same way.
elements of different types of films, but it's like taking all these disparate elements and throwing them together, and I've never seen them put together in that way because it's almost like a combination you think wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I like the first time you see it, you're kind of like taken aback. You're like, what is going on?
Right.
Yeah.
But it surprisingly does work.
Yeah.
But in terms of the first time of seeing House, the first time I saw House was, like I said, like around the time the Criterion DVD came out. And I got it from Netflix. And I used to have this weird habit where I'd be like really tired at like 2:30 in the morning, and I'd be like, oh, I feel like I'm falling asleep. Time to put on a movie. Like a movie I'd never seen and I really wanted to watch, and I'd put it on.
That's.
I don't know why I used to do that. I don't know why I used to do that. Like, I'd always end up having to watch it again the next day. But House, I was one of those movies that I put on at like 2 a.m, and the whole time I went in and out of sleep,
Oh my god.
and it was like I've never done acid, but it was like an acid trip.
That's funny.
It was unbelievable. You can only imagine, having seen this film, what it was
Yeah.
like.
That'd
And
be
there
so
are
weird.
parts of House that I remember that aren't in House.
Really?
There's this beautiful image from House that isn't in House of these two people standing in front of a sunset with like a Japanese screen on the left side of the frame, and they're standing in the sunset, and like a man wrapping his arm around a woman. And it's such a beautiful image, and the sun is setting. It's not in the movie.
You just. That
I
was
think
I
your
also
brain
have-
was compiling various
Yeah,
disparate
yeah.
elements.
I also
of the
have
film.
like weird parts I remember about like people walking through hallways that aren't in the movie.
That's strange.
Yeah, but it was, and I woke up and I saw the very end, that last sequence with the love theme from House playing,
Yeah.
and I was like, what the? And I immediately fell asleep again and woke up the next morning and I was like, you gotta try that movie again.
Yeah.
And I watched it for a second time and was just like, kind of like disillusioned with it because I was like had such a weird first experience with it. So I was like, I don't know what to think of that movie. Like it was fun, I liked it. I don't know.
It's enjoyable.
So I've always wanted to see it again since then, and we all watched it again, and now I am totally sold on it. That movie is fantastic.
There's so many fantastic like martial arts moments of just like
It's true.
fighting,
There's a whole
teleporting.
sequence where they just start kung fu fighting.
Do you
You're like,
yo?
where did this come from?
Do
Like,
you yo?
like one of the characters'
Yeah.
names is Kung Fu, but
Kung Fu.
And she's
Yes.
really good at kung fu.
And she
Apparently.
wears a bikini bottom and a tank top the whole movie.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
well, of course.
That-
Because
Yeah.
why not?
Well, though, I think one of the most hilarious parts about this movie is the fact that all the characters are very simple stereotypes.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's the person who eats a lot. Her
There's the
name's Matt.
brainiac.
There's the person who cleans. There's the musician. There's the pretty girl.
Yeah.
The musician named Melody. And the first
Melody.
thing she says when she gets to the house, she's like, "Let me see the piano."
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic, and it's not even like I would have thought that the satire would be harder to pick up on because it's in another language, but no, it's totally
It's
obvious.
very clear.
Yeah, they make it very clear, and
It
to comedic
satirizes
effect.
like everything. It satirizes like haunted house movies. It satirizes like Japanese commercials and like
Yeah.
Japanese TV shows. Like that whole sequence where they're walking across the bridge.
Yeah.
And it has like the superimpositions of the characters' faces
It
with their
does.
names and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's also that really funny sequence where she imagines the teacher coming to save her and he rides
Yeah.
up on the horse.
Yes.
And it says the end, and
It's
it's like flash cutting between
Flash-
the end.
You know,
and
the editing in this film is hilarious within its own right.
the editing is almost like just the film.
Yeah,
That's
they
almost
used,
the film.
I think, every transition they could come up with, they
Yeah.
used in the film.
They also, I
They're
think they also
whites,
make
they're
fun of,
scoping.
just in general, how every horror movie, life is fucking perfect
Yes.
before the bad shit happens.
Yeah.
It's like the most light-hearted, functional family or like situation, and then one thing fucks it all up, and they make fun of that with the whole like, oh, everything's wonderful, oh, this is so great, and they really
Yeah.
like do it heavy-handedly, and then they get to the house and then it, oh no, it's all turned to shit, and I just think it's perfect.
Well, actually, I think one of the things I loved the most about it was that they walk into the very first thing that happens when they walk into the house is like the chandelier, parts of the chandelier start falling on them, and Kung Fu flies through the air. Oh my god! But then there's like no reaction to it after the split second.
And doesn't the like one of the pieces of the chandelier like impale a lizard or something on
Yeah.
the ground?
Yeah.
And it's
oh,
like,
the cat's
what?
eating it. Oh,
And the-
okay,
yeah, yeah.
that's cool.
By the way, the cat is adorable.
Yeah,
is.
The
it's
cat
adorable
is so
and
cool.
terrifying.
adorable satanic cat.
And the best scene in the movie, I'm just gonna say that objectively, the best scene in the movie is when the cat plays the piano.
That's true. They
And sings along.
That is absolutely true.
Forward,
And they do
reverse,
like-
forward, reverse,
they do
cat
like-
fighting, yeah.
They do like forward, backward editing of
think-
like some strange shit. It's insane. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, House is just so good. I might have to watch that again before Halloween.
I'll watch it
Yeah.
again.
It's so
It's
good.
so much fun.
I'll take 8.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Honestly.
Oh, other thing, satire. The ending, the love song at the end, the love theme.
We didn't
Great
even say the
satire.
music.
Yeah, the music
the
in this
music
film.
throughout the whole movie.
It's
There are
so
main
cool.
3 themes in this film. One of which is the one that we were just crappily singing.
The main theme
the
from
main theme.
House.
Oh.
Then there's the Kung
great
Fu
is that?
theme, which they use for all the action stuff.
Do you?
And then the love theme, which is at the end of the film.
Which is gorgeous.
Yes.
And the fucking part where he starts screaming about bananas. And then they return to the spot where he was.
No, not watermelons, bananas, bananas.
And he starts yelling, and then one of the girls from the house returns to where Mr. Togo was, where he was sitting in a car, and it's just full of bananas.
He's turned into
bananas.
It's like bananas, and they're wearing glasses and a hat.
Yeah, like he was.
That'd be amazing. It's so funny.
Another part I'd like to just briefly comment on, which I only really picked up on this time after seeing it a few times, is there's a sequence near the beginning of the film which is almost like a flashback, and it tells the story of Gorgeous's parents, and it has like 3 segments to it. One is like pre-war,
Right.
when like the couple is meeting and their fiancés, and it's shot like almost like, I want to say like an Ozu film, like one of Ozu's silent family dramas with the intertitles. And then the second part is when he's going to war, and it almost looks like Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Like it's a very like all these guys marching in the rain and chanting, and
It's probably like on purpose. Like,
yeah,
probably like
that's
an
what I was
homage
saying.
to
Like
those things.
you have like
They
the
even-
1930s silent film, because they were still making silent films up to through the 30s in Japan, and then during the war you have like a Kurosawa type thing.
Yeah.
And then the third one is like a purple tinted, like almost like modern day for when it would have been made, which looked to me like a Shuji Terayama film, which he's like a very not talked about director, but one of the Japanese new wave directors. One of my absolute favorite filmmakers, but he does a lot of things in his movies like Pastoral, To Die in the Country, and one of my favorite movies, Throw Away Your Books, Rally in the Streets, where he like tints, like almost like how they used to color tint German expressionist films.
Yeah.
All right.
He tints the scenes like that. Like he'll have a scene like in Throw Away Your Books, Rally at the Streets, there's a lot of scenes that are like green tinted, like it's like black and green.
They do that in another movie that it's a modern movie. I forget what it is.
You see it from time to time,
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
but like the scene in House is like purple tinted, and it looks just like one of the scenes from Pastoral, To Die in the Country. And I think that was a nod, because I'm sure Obayashi knew Terayama.
They even treat that sequence as if the characters are watching.
Yeah, it's almost like
they
they're
do.
doing the
They
director's
they make
commentary.
comments
They do a lot of, like,
on what they're
MST3K
seeing,
type
but they're
thing.
not
More
actually-
commentary.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just treat like obviously that they're gonna understand and interpret everything perfectly just from what we can see, even though that there's no way that they're all going to see it the same way. Funny thing about that, what? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that stupid?
Good, Greg.
No, you're good.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, so I honestly have nothing but good things to say about House. I absolutely recommend it.
It was more of an
Anyone.
experience than a movie for me. It was like so.
It was.
Crazy.
Well, you have no, other than like comparisons like that, you don't really have any point of comparison,
Yeah.
because
No.
it does take so many elements from other things, but it does it in a way where it's very, like, it knows that's what it's doing, and in that it becomes something entirely new.
Yeah.
It's almost like that perfect synthesis of elements, almost like Star Wars is a perfect synthesis of elements, because Star Wars is so like derivative of older things,
It
whether
just,
it's
it just
Flash
knows
Gordon
what it's
or-
referencing so well
but
that
the-
it knows exactly where to
exactly,
place
and
the
the way it
references.
puts it together,
Right.
it, Star Wars is Star Wars. It's a
Right.
cultural phenomenon, and it's
Yeah.
just, like, it took those old things and put them together in
It's
such
just
a way that
knowing
it
pop
was.
culture to
so
an
new.
incredible extent.
And actually, House came out 1977, and Star Wars came out 1977.
Maybe a little connection there. You never know.
Maybe there was some,
Everything is connected. Cloud Atlas.
I never forget that Star Wars was directed in 1977. If I hear about a movie directed in 1977, I'm like, it was competing with Star Wars. that year.
Yeah.
Annie Hall.
Indeed. Annie Hall won Best Picture
Yeah,
that
Annie
year.
Hall beat Star
I won't-
Wars.
I won't get
Can we
into
do
it.
a quick around the block who agrees with that and who disagrees with that?
Sure, I'm guessing you don't agree with that, or you do?
I agree with Annie Hall beating Star Wars.
Okay,
I love both movies, but I love Annie Hall.
that's fair. I think it makes sense that Annie Hall was the Oscar winner, like
Yeah.
the Best Picture winner, because Star Wars won a fuck ton of awards. But I think Star Wars remains. I mean, George Lucas got all he needed from that movie.
Yeah.
He didn't really need an Oscar.
Yeah.
Because he got so much fucking money.
Made all to money.
But who else? What about you? Do you agree with that?
Well, I haven't actually seen Annie Hall or a lot of Woody Allen movies for that matter. I apologize, so I can't actually comment
So we
on
have
that.
Burn.
I'm so
So
sorry.
we have no opinion there. So that
I
was
can't
no
have an
fucking point
opinion.
of talking to you right now.
I'm sorry. That's the thing. We're all film students. We're
It's
all
gonna
learning.
be okay. It's gonna be okay.
It's all a
What about
process
you?
of
Have
learning.
you seen Annie Hall?
I've seen
Aaron?
Annie Hall. I mean, I like Annie Hall. It's funny. I don't know.
I don't think a
I'm not the
70s rom-com
biggest
should
Annie
beat out
Hall.
Star Wars, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm also not the biggest Star Wars fan, so I don't know.
What about you, Jamie? You ever seen Annie Hall?
I saw it a long time ago, so
did you?
comparing the two would be difficult. I really enjoy.
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars,
This is
though.
totally a stupid thing I'm doing right now, but it's just fun.
Yeah. Anyways, so House, great movie. Last thing, best movie to watch for Halloween. Best classic Halloween movie to watch. What do we think?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's
Speaking
Jamie's.
of-
Jamie's
pick is-
I'm
Nightmare
gonna
Before
second that
Christmas.
because I love that movie quite a bit.
So we got
so we
two
have
Nightmare Before
two
Christmases.
agreements for night.
It also
a-
makes a great holiday Christmas movie.
That's a great movie. And watching it on Halloween, why the hell not?
Jarrod, what's your Halloween movie of choice?
I thought about this a lot because I wanted to recommend something that I think a lot of people could enjoy, but that they might not have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can always say, like, watch Night of the Living Dead or whatever, but I feel like everyone's seen that. And sure,
Sure.
go ahead and watch it again. It's great.
Yeah.
Can never get enough of Night of the Living Dead. But I wanted to give a bit more of an outsider pick, but also not something totally out there that most people would be like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, one of the first movies I thought of is, because I'm thinking about watching it again, is Elias Marriage's Begotten.
I've never heard of it.
He later went on to direct Shadow of the Vampire, which is another really good Halloween movie, which is about the making of Nosferatu, except the twist is Max Schreck is a real vampire. And John Malkovich is F.W. Murnau. And,
Wait, what is this movie?
And Willem Dafoe is Max Schreck.
Wait, whoa, okay, we have
Shadow
to
of the Vampire. It's
Shadow
a
of the
really
Vampire.
good movie. And you know what? That's my
Literally?
pick. That's my pick for a Halloween movie.
Literally going to add that to my watch list.
Everyone watch
This
Shadow
moment.
of the Vampire.
Okay, that
Especially
sounds
if you've
fantastic.
seen Nosferatu.
That's-
Because the way they recreate some of the scenes and the setting,
That's crazy. I'm gonna watch Nosferatu and then I'm gonna watch Shadow of the Vampire.
that's a great double bill. You know what? That's what I'm suggesting. Watch
We
it.
should do
Shadow of the
next.
Vampire is funny. It's creepy. It's a horror movie and a comedy at the same time.
Willem Dafoe was born to play a fucking
He's
vampire.
so good in it. And so is John Malkovich. He plays the part of like an egomaniacal director so well.
That is so fucking great.
It's such a clever idea, and Elias Marriage is a really interesting guy. I wish he'd make another movie.
Udo Kier, isn't it?
Yeah,
That guy.
Udo Kier, the occult.
Yeah. Right.
That's the last time we talked about Udo Kier. So yeah, watch Shadow of the Vampire. You'll really like it.
Aaron,
Everyone.
what do you think?
I'm kind of, I don't know.
Don't like. You're not a big horror guy.
I'm not a
that's
horror
the thing.
person.
Well, it doesn't have to be a horror movie per se. Just a good movie for Halloween.
Yeah.
Like Nightmare Before Christmas isn't a horror movie.
Right.
Like,
It's
I
a
chose-
musical.
I chose that because I don't actually watch a lot of horror movies. I'm terrible for this discussion. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
No, you're good. See,
but
that's a
Aaron-
different opinion.
I'm in the same boat. I don't watch Halloween related or horror movies that much. You could, I don't know. You just pick some really bad movie.
That's a good
Movie 43.
I
No, like
can always-
you,
you can
no,
always go
I
for,
have
like-
one. I have one. Troll Hunter.
Oh,
yes.
Troll Hunter's really good.
Why did I
Yeah,
not
Troll
have
Hunter's
not
amazing.
seen that.
I really like Troll Hunter.
That would be a
Have
really
you guys
good movie to
have you
watch.
guys seen that film Dead Snow?
No,
The
I
one
actually
about the
haven't.
German about the Nazi
That's
zombies.
one of the Nazi zombie movies.
Yeah, I want to see that because I started watching it, but I wasn't able to. Finish
I'll watch it with you.
Yeah, we should watch
I
it.
haven't seen it.
Can I
so-
make a recommendation for a really strange double billing that I did once?
Okay.
Okay, so Troll Hunter, and then after that at around midnight, Rubber.
That's a good double bill.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it just like
I love
progressively
Rubber, by the
gets
way.
weirder
That's a
and
really
stranger.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
Rubber is one of my favorite
Rubber,
movies. It's fantastically bizarre.
Very much recommend Troll Hunter.
Troll Hunter's
Because
really
if you
good.
ever, like, I go hiking with my friends all the time. Whenever we're in the middle of the woods, one of us is going to yell, Troll! And we just start running.
I love the scene in Troll Hunter on the bridge when they're like
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
remember the nursery rhyme
Yeah.
to find out what the troll's doing.
Yeah.
I have no context for that, but I'll have to
it's
watch
so
it.
funny.
I still love the
like
scene
my
where the
friends will
guys.
still ask like, "Are you Christian?
Yeah.
Do you have Christian blood in you?"
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite parts where the cinematographer is like freaking out. Oh my god! It's like, what's wrong? I'm Christian. I'm gonna die.
It's also one of the few like found footage horror movies I really like.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
I don't think it like it made it obnoxious like some
No,
of them
I
do.
mean it's because it was so funny. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna go. There's like people poaching bears out here. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
They're not bears.
Yeah.
Well, the title.
It
tells
also
you
had
that.
it just built such a good world, like
Yeah.
this whole mythology of these troll hunter type
Yeah.
characters.
Your woodland trolls and your mountain
Yeah.
trolls.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And the special effects are really well done.
Yeah,
too,
for pretty-
Except for they have like
Relatively
comically
low
large
budget.
noses and stuff.
Well, yeah, the trolls look goofy, but
Yeah,
they
they're so
really
funny.
work well.
Yeah.
Fucking goofy trolls.
Yeah. Well, trolls are goofy.
Yeah.
They are. They're goofy little creatures.
They look. I'll tell you what. They look way better than the trolls in The Hobbit.
You
It's
think
true.
so?
It's true.
They do.
Yeah.
When when the one troll blew his nose on Bilbo Baggins and
I don't.
Just
really
remember, whenever
that,
you're out in
but-
the woods.
exactly,
In the dwarf?
exactly. You don't remember it.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah. That's a Tolkien troll. That's
Oh
a bit
yeah, the
different.
Hobbit happened.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That 3 hours, and there's another 6 hours coming our way.
I not only loved that movie, but I wanted it to be longer. That's how much I
Well,
loved
you're
it.
gonna get what you want.
I
Yeah.
know.
You
I'm
got
gonna
6
get
more
it.
hours coming to you.
I know.
Yeah.
Bring it at me. I'm gonna watch all the extended versions
That's-
in a row, and then I'm gonna watch all the extended Lord of the Rings.
That's the
in a row,
thing
and
about
then
Peter
die.
Jackson. He
That's-
can make a 3-hour movie, and you won't care if it drags on for another half hour.
Oh, I would
Oh,
say
I
that.
do.
There's
Hour.
quite a few people who care.
There's a lot of people
care.
yeah.
Well,
wait,
That's
is
the
there
direction-
consensus that we liked The Hobbit here?
I didn't like The Hobbit.
Okay, because I did not like it at all.
I didn't like
I
it at all.
enjoyed
And
it.
I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy
Oh, yeah.
as a book series and as Peter Jackson's film. And I used to be like a
I
huge
loved-
Peter Jackson
I
fan.
love how classically storybook that movie was, though. I love.
See,
how The
I didn't
Hobbit
think it was
like-
classically storybook.
I wanted to fucking be in that world. I
See, I didn't.
just love the Lord of the Rings world so much
I
that
think
I
it-
was.
I love The Hobbit as a book because it's so simple and is a like a fairy tale children's book.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest problems with at least the first installment of the Hobbit saga was that they wanted to make it in that style, like a more lighthearted romp than the Lord of the Rings was, but they also wanted to make it like the stakes as high as Lord of the Rings. And
Like
they
as big as-
put in
as
all those
epic.
parts with Saruman and
Sure.
you know the neuromancer or whatever they
The
call him, the
necromancer.
necromancer.
Yeah.
And
I think it could have been a lot worse.
the
I think
tone
it's
the
definitely-
tone of that movie was the biggest problem. It just
think so?
it fluctuated so much, and it didn't feel like genuine, like the Lord of the Rings, because the Lord of the Rings have a lot of funny moments, it has a lot of scary moments, there's a lot of exciting moments. That is a movie of many emotions. But this one, it felt more like, well, we need a funny part in here because it's like a children's book, but now we need the action to keep the teen market interested.
That's
and-
strange because when I watched it, maybe I was just in kind of starstruck mode, or I don't know what you call it. I was just in like fanboy mode. That I was loving it the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I was skeptical about it, but I went in really wanting to like it.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to sit through a 3-hour movie made by a director you really appreciate that you don't like.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see it
And-
in 3D, by the way?
No.
Or
I
did
saw
you see it in
3D
48?
as well.
Did you see it
No.
in high frame rate?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you I would have liked it even less if I saw it in 3D high frame rate.
It was
Yeah.
not.
I saw it 24 because I wanted to get like just the movie.
No.
The movie on base level.
Yeah.
The characters, the writing, the special effects, just the movie. And
Right.
if I decided to myself, if I really like this, I'll go back and I'll see it again with all the gizmos and see if it adds to it. But I really didn't like it, so I said, nope, not gonna sit through that again. But the worst thing about it was I was bored. I got bored by the end and I said, is this gonna end soon? And then I said, oh shit, I want this to end. That's bad.
Really?
That's
wow.
bad. I was like
It's
so
strange that I had
disappointed.
such an opposite
I was so disappointed,
reaction.
and that was a sad night.
I think it
I went
I
with
was,
my-
I was going in. See, I was literally. It's so strange. I was literally the exact opposite. I literally went in saying, because I thought these movies were gonna be Peter Jackson's prequel series, like Phantom Menace. I thought this was going to be his Phantom Menace. I was like, there's going to be a CGI retarded character in this
There
film.
was he wasn't CGI, but he was pretty retarded.
Yeah, I'm like, there's going to be a Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah,
He's already
yeah.
coming out with a bunch of Legos.
Mm-hmm.
He's taking what could be one movie and splitting it into 3.
Yep.
And I was like, he's fucking up. And then I saw it, and I was completely wrong. I thought I was taken aback. I thought it was fantastic. It will not go down to any significance in history.
Yeah.
But I will personally enjoy it, and I had a good time with it.
See,
but we should probably move on.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I think to come to a conclusion about it, I think it's fair to say that after you make one of the most successful trilogies, adapted from a really popular book series like that, and where one of the films wins every single Oscar it's nominated for, i.e. the Return of the King, it's hard to top yourself on that.
Yeah, you can
And-
only blame Peter Jackson to a certain extent because the pressure on him to make this another Lord of the Rings, combined with the fact that he is a really genuinely
Fantastic director.
fantastic and
Passionate.
respectful and passionate, that's the word I was looking
Yeah.
for, director who loves the world of Tolkien.
Who doesn't want to screw anyone
and wants
over.
to do it justice. I think there was just too many elements that went into it. Similarly to the Evil Dead remake and why I don't like that. I feel there was too many
It was like-
opinions and too many wanting to please everyone, and
Sounded
at
like
the
it was
end they
approached
just
at
lost
80 different angles. Kind
they
of
just
thing.
lost the sense of what that
was
story
no
and what that
cohesion,
movie
yeah.
should have been at its core, and they lost a sense of that because the world that we live in got interfered with creating the movie, and it just
And I know we want to move on, but the one film that I think that's exactly applicable to is Prometheus. I think it's the
see, I
exact
liked
same way.
Prometheus.
Really?
You did?
Yeah.
I fucking hated
What?
Prometheus.
See, I liked
thought
Prometheus.
I thought he was
You
trying.
like Prometheus?
Yep,
I
I
really
liked
want to hear about
Prometheus.
that.
I thought
Yeah.
Ridley Scott literally did not know what he wanted to make a movie about. He didn't know if he wanted to make an Aliens remake, an Aliens prequel, if he wanted to make a completely new film with a completely new story. He didn't know if he wanted to make it CG sci-fi. He didn't know if he wanted to make it practical effects sci-fi. That's what I thought the exact same thing. I thought there's 80 different angles. He's trying to
Yeah.
get 80 different types of people to like this film,
Yeah.
and there's no cohesion.
That's
I thought the
interesting.
exact same
Yeah,
thing.
I would definitely agree that Prometheus has a lot of elements
But
that
you're probably like me.
probably
You
don't
just
click. But
enjoy it 'cause you have
I
to.
really liked it.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sold on Ridley Scott as a filmmaker either.
No, I'm not. And I heard
Though
about
I
the
would say
counselor. Apparently
I would
that was
say
shitty.
most of his films I haven't seen, but the ones I have seen, I mean, I love Alien and Blade
Yeah,
Runner's
God bless
really
him for
good.
Alien
Yeah.
and Blade Runner, but beyond
But
that,
Gladiator I could care less about. I guess it's a good movie, but
it's okay.
it's not one I ever really need to see again.
It's not like it's pretty.
But Prometheus I really liked, and just something about it. One, the fact that I am a horror guy, and it actually went the horror angle.
It did, but in
And
like
that
the
scene
cheesiest
in the
way.
pod, I thought was really cool when she gets
Oh.
the C-section.
Yeah,
And, I'm in the theater and she's running around in the halls after, and I'm like, well, that's stupid.
yeah.
But
yeah.
you know what? At the same time, I was like, you know what? This is, in a way, back to, at base elements, what Alien was. But at the same time,
Was it though? You think?
at base elements,
Like how?
because it was a slasher movie.
Right. Yeah.
They go
I
in.
guess, but I
They're
feel like
all
that's
really
giving it too much
stupid.
credit.
Yeah,
They're all
idiots in
really
that movie.
stupid.
They're all really
they all go
dumb.
into the thing, and you see it coming, and then they get killed. It was like a slasher movie. And I was like,
Where's-
oh my god.
Where's the Ellen
Ridley
Ripley
Scott.
in that movie? There's no Ellen Ripley. It's just
You
a
didn't like
bunch of
Noomi
retarded people.
Rapace?
I didn't think she was a strong female lead.
I mean, she's no, like, the character is no Ellen Ripley, but I thought it was interesting, and I loved the whole looking for our creators angle. I thought that was really interesting, and
That
you don't
wasn't
see.
my problem though, because they never
don't see
they never
many films
answer that
about-
question.
I see that as a
No,
yet
why would you
another-
answer that question? Why
What?
would you answer the
It
question about
wasn't-
who created who?
Ridley Scott just confirmed that there's gonna be Prometheus 2.
There is.
So
Yeah,
I
I'm not gonna
kinda
fucking
figured
see
that.
it.
so there might be something.
But
No, but
I
that was
think
the
it
whole thing
works
is that
totally as
I
a.
thought I could tell, they're gonna set it up for a sequel, and then they left everything that they were gonna say to the sequel.
It's
Like, I thought they
it's
didn't
such
say
a confused
anything.
film. It has no idea. Why is a xenomorph a fucking post-credit surprise in a movie that's advertised? The fucking trailer for that movie was literally edited the same way they edited the 1970s Alien trailer. It's got the same sound effects, the same cutting, everything. If you look it up,
Yeah.
like the doo 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 doo, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
like. Yeah, it's like this weird thing. It's the same fucking thing. That movie has no idea what it's doing. And I agree. I don't think Ridley Scott is that. I think he's overrated. as a
Ridley
filmmaker.
Scott's
like
strength
the fact
is.
that Ridley Scott is synonymous with good director is such a fallacy.
I don't think he is.
But someone said
A lot of people definitely even people who like him admit to his flaws.
I'm
But
not even.
Ridley Scott is synonymous with good world building in terms of filmmaking.
Yeah.
His
Good
movies
movie
are
magic.
always expanse, like the worlds that they are. Blade Runner, whether you like the story or the narrative thrust of it, is a fucking marvel.
It is so good.
Like
It's so
visually
fantastic.
and in terms of the world.
So ahead of its time.
Like I don't even know how they did that shit.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
That was a movie it took me a long time to warm up to.
Can you imagine what
But-
that must have been like? How long ago? Like, when did Blade Runner come out?
82.
82. You had a couple years there where it was Star Wars, Empire, Blade Runner, and Return of the Jedi.
And Alien.
And Alien. That's got to be the most incredible, like, time for science fiction ever in terms of filmmaking. That's insane.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, incredible.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, that's
step
not
into a theater
sci-fi,
in
but-
general.
Yeah, but
But
I really liked Prometheus, and I was trying to talk about the religious angle
Oh,
of it a
go
little
ahead.
bit in terms of why I liked it, because I didn't want answers. Because why should there be answers to a question like that? The whole film is about looking for answers,
but
and
why
they
bother
don't
posing
get
a
them.
fucking question like that?
And why?
It doesn't need to be that conceptual, that movie. Like, he
Why?
could just-
Why? What do you mean? Why does it not have to be? Why shouldn't it be that conceptual?
Because it just sounds like it's like Lost, right? Where they just pose a bunch of questions, but none of them get answered, and the only thing that's getting asses in seats is the questions that they're asking, not the actual answers that they give out.
So you didn't like Lost?
I actually never seen Lost, but I
Oh.
just know I like a half.
See, I'm in the camp that I really liked Lost, and I really
I-
liked the ending of Lost. I thought the ending was great.
I just heard that they didn't answer like half the fucking.
No, they didn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't want answers. Why would I want answers? It's boring.
I'm
man,
all for
I guess so.
ambiguous
Do you like?
endings.
Do you like
Yeah,
films that tie? I know. Legitimately, I'm asking you. Do you like films that like tie things up in a bow?
I don't
Like
like
you
films
like an
that
answer, like-
condescend to me. Like I thought Prometheus was condescending. It was like trying to intrigue you with these fake questions, even though it means.
See, I didn't think
nothing.
they were fake questions. I thought they were relevant questions.
I also think it's like
To ask.
it's like he's making.
Where did we
it's like
come
he's
from
making it
and-
all up as
See,
he.
I
as he
think the
went.
questions were cool, and I like ambiguous endings. But I thought, at the end, it's just like, and you have to see the next movie to get all the answers. Was my interpretation. Of
It
the
doesn't
end.
even. It doesn't even.
And I just thought it was like a scam.
Okay,
See,
so,
the end of Prometheus, when she goes out into space, I thought like actually like scared me because the idea of like going out into space like that, like scared me, and like the idea that this character would want to do that showed me like the conviction of her quest to find answers. And then I turned around and see everyone complaining that there were no answers, and I just felt like a disconnect between what the movie was at its core and what people expected from it, because it was a film with everyone had such high expectations for, and I think that was part of the backlash of it.
Well, may I interject on this point? I haven't actually
Yeah.
seen Prometheus, but what I'm gathering from this is that maybe the point of the film was not so much about answering the questions, but rather the fact that the theme was focusing on the fact that it is difficult to get answers from this, and sometimes you can't get answers to these questions.
Yeah.
So it may be that, in fact, might have been more the point of the movie than answering questions about the creation of the universe. Because I mean, let's be honest, we honestly don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we
I
can't
mean,
figure
your
it out. and I
criticisms
don't
against
think
Prometheus are fair.
Thank you.
they are
But
fair.
Ditto.
it worked for me, and I liked it. I like that kind of film that has a lot of questions, because I like to think about things.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it didn't have answers, like, I thought was pretty cool, because
Well, that's
you don't
an
often
interesting
see
way of
that.
looking at
You
it.
don't often see that in a big budget like, space adventure movie.
Right.
You don't see that too often. I think that was one of like the only recent like science fiction movies that was actually legitimate science fiction.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Actually,
It wasn't totally heady.
the
It wasn't
conceptual like, oh, are we as humans doing too much? Like,
Yeah.
are we exploring
because
curiosity and all that?
nowadays science fiction is. They
Just
say
mean-
on they
just
say on
means
Red
there's
Letter
sciencey
Media.
stuff in
They
it.
say on Red Letter Media space adventure film. Like that's what science fiction is now. It's not what it used to be. And the
it
new
now just
Star Trek
means-
movies are the perfect example. Like that's
Right.
what the audience's
When in
expectations
fact
of
science
science
fiction is, yeah. When in fact
When
science
science-
fiction is like that Isaac Asimov like question the
Yeah,
reality.
and I think
of
Prometheus
technology.
got a good middle ground between that.
Yeah,
With the
between-
horror elements more like a visceral, like
I think
exciting
Looper
part.
did that as well, really well. Did you ever see Looper?
See, I'm not a big fan of Looper.
Really?
I didn't like
Yeah.
Looper either.
That's a movie I thought that was deep and that had.
See, I thought Looper was really shallow.
You think?
Yeah.
I think it had a great comment on like the fucking cycle of poverty where it's a loop and the kid is gonna grow up to be a criminal, which is gonna
See, I
cause
thought that
more
was
criminals.
so like painfully obvious and like stupid.
I thought for a movie that could have just been,
I mean,
cool sci-fi,
Yeah,
boom.
that movie was trying. I just don't think it succeeded too well. It was an okay movie.
Oh
but-
dang, time travel.
I thought it was really good. But anyways, we should probably wrap up this random sci-fi segment. Movies that I would watch for Halloween. I know that we were just talking about that, but I was just gonna say, I always like the Boris Karloff, Frankenstein, the Dracula,
yeah.
the Wolfman, and I might watch some Mario Bava classic
That's good.
horror as well. And I might watch for the first time Dawn of the Dead, which I still haven't seen.
You haven't seen Dawn of the
I haven't
Dead?
seen the 80s Romero Dawn of the Dead.
78.
78.
78. We should watch Dawn and Day, because I love Day of the Dead too.
Nice. Well, those are my films. Trenton, yeah, go ahead.
Hocus Pocus.
Fuck you, Trenton. All right, that's ridiculous.
Burn it
Trenton
hell.
Hoshiko, the classiest
Thanks so much
man
for
alive.
listening, everyone. Just reroute your questions to the Film Fetish Podcast. Go onto our Facebook page, like us on our Facebook page, Film Fetish Podcast.
Film Fetish Podcast at gmail.com.
At female. Film
Female.
Fetish Podcast at gmail.com.
They
is
send
the
it to
email address.
female.com. They might get redirected to a different website.
Yeah. That
I'm not
gets
implying
directed-
anything by that. I'm just saying please use the correct email address if you'd like to ask us a question so we can answer it.
Right. Film Fetish Podcast at gmail.com is the address. Thanks so much for listening. Have fun. Happy Halloween. Thanks, guys.
Boo.
Ows.
Ow.
House.